Hey, hello. So I'm giving a book review for The Reformatory. So I am Camille Claiborne, the moderator of the Lincoln University Alumni and Friends Book Club, and I am here to review our book for November, which was The Reformatory. I give this book a 5 out of 5. It was truly a great story. I loved reading this book, and it left no unanswered questions. Right, this book just it answered all my questions, and I really did enjoy this book. So I chose this book for the month of November because it is listed as a horror. And I thought it was in alignment with all the spooky antics that normally happen between September, October, and November, right? Not knowing that this book was really historical fiction, right? It had that historical fiction aspect. And historical fiction is one of my favorite genres. So I would say this book to me leans more towards historical fiction than horror. I mean, it has ghosts in it, of course. So some of the themes that were in this book were themes of racism, family, community, and injustice. So this story actually takes place in Florida, and I think this author gives you background, right, on her main character. So the main characters really are Gloria, which is the sister, and her brother Robert Jr., who is sent to a reformatory school, and he's sent to reformatory school for actually defending his sister. But then there's other little small characters like Miss Lottie and some of the other main characters, like the Powell family and Powell, um, and even some of the characters from the jail, like the warden, Blue, Bone. I think the author did a good job. She did a good job of kind of giving you background on all these different characters, right? And you can't help but have a better understanding of maybe some of their actions because you have a better because you have a because you have so much background, and I think you kind of get attached to different characters for that reason. So this book, it really kind of delves into certainly racism, and certainly some of the injustice that African Americans had to deal with, right? Because we know reformatories weren't exclusive to Florida, right? There were other places where African American men were sent to these sort of reformatory schools and treated unjustly. So, I mean, the young men in this reformatory are just, I mean, the conditions are horrific that they endure in this reformatory. Um, I kind of like this one because it ends in a good way with them being able to kind of move away to Chicago, and they were able to help Robert Jr. escape. And I think that that's sort of the joy of reading a fictional book, is that it can have this sort of happy ending, because we know that like most times um, it did not end that way for young black boys. So it has this realistic idea that reformatories exist. Young black men and women sometimes are sent there for silly reasons, right? Um, and treated horribly in these places. I mean, these young men went. I mean, it was horrible. But it ended in a good way that they were able to relocate with their father in Chicago. I like this idea also of like black community. So their dad actually was he first relocated to Chicago because he was trying to help, workers join a union, and white folks didn't like that. And so he was sort of forced out of town when he is falsely accused of rape. And even some white people know that it was a false accusation, but he's still forced out of town. And so you just see how different this system of racism and injustice affects the black community different, but yet still affects them. And even the young lady, because Gloria, her father's away, her mother is deceased, and first she was sick, but then she ends up dying. and she has to leave school to help support her family because the dad isn't there anymore. Um, so I really did enjoy this story, and it was very layered. I remember seeing, so I actually read this story on my Kindle, but I remember seeing it in the store and seeing that it was like a huge book. And what I can say is it did not feel like a long story. It was definitely a page turner. It kept me engaged and captivated the whole way, the whole time. Like I was shocked that it was actually as long as it was when I saw the physical book, because it was such a great book. And it really does keep you engaged. And I think it does a good job of just fictionalizing but realistically depicting the African American experience, during this time. So, if you have not already, please read The Reformatory. It is a great story. Happy reading, friends. Bye.